So guys, I wanted to show to you something that I showed on the dev server, but of course, I kind of did a mistake there. And now we are in the live server, so everything is working properly and everything. So I really wanted to show this because it really makes a lot of difference for some things that we now finally have an AA capability with some of these things. So some of them, of course, received the new optical system lock on air targets, right? But together with that, some tanks received stuff like this: time-fused HE shells that can be updated for, for basically you destroying air targets, right? So, for example, the T90M has the OF82 now. For example, some tanks like the Merkavas over here, they already had the 339, right? But now they have the optical system. So multiple tanks like this received either a new round, in the case of the T90M, but also the TV system, or the optical system that can lock onto targets. That means that you can actually lock onto them and change the time fuse so that it can actually be a very good AA system, okay? So let me show to you guys here. The way that it works is basically that you need to point to the target, of course, and then you're gonna have to click the button to lock. This button, guys, it is the same as you use on the radar, if I'm not mistaken. Lock radar IRST, right? It would be basically the same because technically it's kind of like an IRST like situation over here. But yeah, and you're gonna point to the target. Of course, you have limitations on vertical, so because this is an MBT, it's not a proper like AA system, but you get the point. You're gonna point to the target on the camera, on the gunner view over here. And once the target is on, a proper position over here, you're gonna click to lock it up. And as you see over here, guys, you can notice some things. First of all, it gives you a lead for where you need to shoot. The second thing is that look at the fuse changing while the helicopter is flying. So it's updating the fuse, since this is a time fuse shell, while it is being locked. And notice something else. The helicopter is at 4 kilometers, but the fuse it's at 4,800. What does that mean? Well, it means, guys, that this thing is calculating where the target is going to be to actually explode at the exact time if it maintains the same direction. Of course, if it changes, it's not a guided missile, right? But to explode directly on the position where the target will be. Where it will be. So, yeah. It is actually a proper fire control system. In real life, actually, something similar to this is how a fire control system works on locking onto tanks, right? You can kind of lock on the image of a tank, and the fire control will do everything. You know, you calculate even, where you need to shoot to give a lead for ground target. So it's a proper fire control system, but only for aircraft on this thing, right? And like I said, it is actually changing the fuse, not to the distance of the target itself, but where the target is going to be. Which means, and this was firstly my main mistake on the dev server, that I thought it was a data link that was updating where the target was, and it isn't. It is basically trying to predict where the target is. Which means that if the target continues to, just stay flying the same path, you can hit a target like this at 4 kilometers because it predicted where to explode and it became a flak, right? But directly on the distance that it plans on where the target it will be and the direction. So it's a proper fire control system. Like again, guys, in real life you could do this with tanks, and it would predict the same things. But yeah, here we have only for aircraft. And it's kind of insane. You can, 5 kilometers over here will be kind of insane to hit. Let's see if I can. But yeah, you will notice that it is very, very, almost, right? It is very precise. Of course, like I said, if the target moves around, it will actually miss a little bit. But see, just hit the target. And at a very, 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 very long distances, you can hit these targets, right? And guys, honestly, with this in mind over here, You normally would use APFSTS for, you know, armor targets, you know, and then you would use a heat round for lightly armored targets. In the case of these tanks, I would only take, like, for example, 15, 20 rounds of AP, and then take like 5 to 6 rounds of HE, VT, right? Which means that you can destroy all of these air targets. And not only these air targets, you will see in some gameplay that I have with the Merc over there, that I'm gonna show how it works. But yeah, it's very precise. If the target doesn't, you know, if the target doesn't change its direction, especially helicopters and drones, it's very easy to kill them because they're not moving around, right? So, yeah, sometimes it doesn't do enough damage and stuff. You have to do a second shot because it's still a flak, you know, it needs to be a very, very direct hit sometimes. But you get the point that you are hitting a target 3, 4, 5 kilometers even with an MBT. That's the main thing. This is on an AA system, right? And in these more modern BRs that we are facing right now, there are so many good casts that I think we need that, right? So let's get to some battles just to show these on how this kind of works in an actual battle, right? Which is pretty insane. It really, really is pretty good. See, I almost hit it there. But yeah, let's get to a real match. So here, guys, I was just basically, I locked a drone, as you can see. It is flicking a little bit because it was changing the direction. But yeah, as you can see, it's very easy to hit and to destroy. And especially drones, guys. It is such a good way to get RP and money because they give you basically the same money like you were destroying a proper aircraft, right? So it's, yeah, it's a lot of money and a lot of RP just to kill a drone, as you can see. Sometimes you miss a little bit or it doesn't explode near enough to actually be able to give you the amount of damage that you need to actually take that down. So as you can see here, it took basically 3... I mean, maybe it would already be dead, but it took 3 rounds to actually shoot down these this drone over here, right? And even helicopters or jets, you can kill them very, very easily with just that, right? So, for example, here, I ended up dying for this because he fired LMURs, and I, you know, took too much time to actually be able to, you know, prop the smoke. But, yeah, as you can see, I deployed the HE round, and the MI8 got shot down. So it's very, very easy to get a lot of air kills with this. So yeah, guys, this is the new way to destroy aircraft with HE shells. Of course, for MBTs, I mean, it's nothing new to the game, these tracking devices with the camera and the HE, but it's a combination on MBTs that wasn't a thing before, right? Now we properly have on MBTs a way to track these air targets with a proper fire control that basically predicts where the target will be and when to explode the HE if it maintains the same direction. And with that in mind, you can be a somewhat, you know, somewhat reliable AA system. How it actually works would be, if you never play with it, it would be very similar to something like the automatic, okay, or the automagic, right, with this type of shell over here. So you basically are locking the target. I mean, this thing actually has like a proper, you know, proximity fuse, but it feels somewhat similar to that. So you're kind of almost having the same type of system that something like the automatic has. Kind of. Not exactly, but you get the point, right? So very interesting, very good, and yeah, something that I've been using in all battles that, like, with the tanks that have these, okay? So if you have a tank that has this system and an HEVT, you can do it, okay? So I see you guys on the next one. Make sure to subscribe, leave a like, leave a comment, and bye guys, see you.